531. That's the average number of apps used by many companies. This leads to a lot of context and tab switching that drains employee focus and costs your company. Grammarly can help. Grammarly's AI works in over 500,000 apps and websites, making it easy for your team to write clearly and on brand without disrupting workflow. Join 70,000 teams who save an average of $5,000 per employee per year using Grammarly. Go to grammarly.com/enterprise to learn more.
Hello everybody, great to be here. I'm really looking forward to this particular webinar. It's fantastic. I love the technology that's available now. Let me just explain what I mean. I've set up this webinar. I use a piece of kit called Webinar Kit. It's a great piece of software, and if you want to know more about it, I'm actually a reseller of it. So you'd be very welcome to talk to me about signing up. And I'll even do you a great deal on it. So that's one thing. Another thing, I'm actually live on my podcast right now, which is great to be here. So if you're listening to this rather than looking at it, welcome. I'm going to be sharing a slide today, but I'll talk through that. So even if you are listening on the podcast, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. But more about that in a couple of minutes. Now, in addition to that, actually, no, let me just take a step back. So just to clarify, on my podcast, I get somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 people now listening to every single podcast. How cool is that? You know, it's just a fantastic opportunity, I think, podcasting, for getting your name out there. Now, I want to be clear because this is important. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, I think I've done something like 300 podcasts, episodes. So, you know, I started off having 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, but it really started to climb when I registered my podcast with Amazon Music and with Apple, with the Apple Podcasts. So you know, when those two got, you know, giants of the industry got involved, it just absolutely took off, and now we're up around 8,000 or 9,000. Now, in addition to that, we're also streaming live on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, welcome. We're also streaming as well live on Facebook. You know, so I'm doing this once, I'm recording it once, and I'm benefiting actually on about 30 different places on my podcast, and I'm also going to take this and share it with everybody who's signed up to the webinar. It's going out on YouTube, it's going out on Facebook, it's going to be on my website, it's going to be on my new app. And by the way, if you've not signed up to my app, go to the App Store and type in Results Mastery. You'll be able to sign up to that for free. So that's a sort of advertising bit over with. And it's not really advertising, it's just, I think, me demonstrating the power of the potential of digital marketing, of digital technology right now. Getting you and me and everybody out there is such a great opportunity, and it's always sad when people don't realize the full extent of the opportunity. You think, well, you know, I'm doing a website, a webinar, and, you know, I've got maybe 30 people on it, and let's say only 15 of them turn up, because I think the worldwide average is about a 40% show-up rate. So you think, oh, well, is it really worth it? Well, it still might be, even if you've only got 15 people. But the truth of the matter is there's so much more potential in it, you know, and that's really what we want to try to harvest, the potential of it. So what I'd like to do today, because this is not about me and my webinar, this is about you and your marketing, and why perhaps it's either not working at all and you're feeling very frustrated about all the effort, time and money you're putting in, and you're not getting a return on investment at all. or more likely that you're getting a return on investment, but you know what? It's just not what you want. It's maybe washing its face, it's maybe costing you money. There's nothing worse than marketing that's costing you money. It's like, tipping it down the toilet, isn't it? It's just a waste of money. But the truth of the matter, I believe anyway, and I've got some evidence to back this up, is that all marketing works. All of it. Doesn't matter what you do, whether it's advertising, websites, SEO, networking, you name it, it all works. The trouble is, and this is a trouble, is it doesn't work all the time. I've seen people, I've been doing this now 29 years. I've worked with thousands of businesses in hundreds of industries, and I've seen people say, well, I've tried LinkedIn advertising and it doesn't work. And yet there's somebody else, perhaps they're a client of mine, who's doing LinkedIn advertising. They're in exactly the same industry as this guy who swears it doesn't work, and yet they're making a fortune from it. I had one guy was investing £10,000 a month in Facebook advertising. He was a client of mine. And people say, wow, that's a lot of money. Well, it isn't. It isn't. He was making £170,000 a month as a return on his investment. How often would you like to do that? He said to me one day, what do you think I should do? I said, well, if I was you, I'd put 20 grand into it. As long as you can cope with that amount of business. He said, oh, yeah. I said, I think we've optimized it to be as good as it could possibly be. We're getting a great return on investment. Why don't you just invest more? And he did. And guess what? The income didn't quite double, but it went up by about 80%. So he was turning over, it was close to 300,000 for investing 20 grand in Facebook advertising. And so it is with pretty much everything. But the truth of the matter is that it doesn't always work. And the reason it doesn't always work often, and I hate to say this, but it's just not done correctly. And I will tell you that, that it's not about, oh, well, let me go and find somebody who's an expert in this like Steve. You might want to do that, and that's could be a good idea, don't get me wrong. But the truth of the matter is that really it's about testing, measuring, and making sure that what you're doing, you're getting a return on investment. Most people do things like, they set up paid advertising on Google, and then they wake up one day and go, do you know what? That's not really working for us. We need to do something else. So they find something else, and they'll go, right, let's do paid advertising on YouTube. And they don't measure that either. And so it doesn't work. And for me, it's all if you don't pick anything else up from today other than the idea of testing different things to produce better performance, then that is the number one thing. Some of you know that many years ago, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I used to play table tennis pretty much at international level. I got ranked as high as number 6 in England. Won many tournaments and beat several of the top players in the world. And one of the things that I think I picked up very, very young, that being a table tennis player, there are lots of different elements, key performance indicators, I call them now, to my game. There's my forehand, my backhand, my serve, my receiver serve, my footwork, my fitness, my flexibility, my touch and feel for the ball. They're all factors that can be worked on and improved in the game of table tennis. Now, if we take that into the business world and the marketing and sales world, what happens then is that equals your website, your search engine optimization, your LinkedIn profile, the number of people you're connected to on LinkedIn. You see how that could make a difference. People say to me, well, I'm on LinkedIn, but and I post on there once once a week because I don't want to bombard people. And I say, well, how many people are you connected to? And they'll say, well, it's about 550 of them, and I'm not winning any business. So you're posting to 550 people once a week, and the 10,000 people who are in your market are not even connected to you. Let's say, for example, I don't know, my market was hotel owners in Hampshire or on the Isle of Wight, where I live, or perhaps both, and there are 10,000 hotels altogether, and I'm only connected to 500 of them on LinkedIn. That means the vast majority, I think is that 85% of them, I've got no way of communicating with them. So I need to be working on getting more people into my world and making sure that I communicate with them on a consistent basis. More about that in a few minutes. So once I've done that, then it comes down to, right, testing. What am I going to test? Well, I can test my communications, the headline that I use, the subheads that I use, the use of video, the quality of the video. Do I use testimonials? What about the calls to action on my webpage or my email or my social media? You know, I see so many people on social media now just posting really irrelevant, things. Going out, I had a great walk this morning, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Yeah, that's okay. But my belief is, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to save that for my personal profile on Facebook, not for my professional profile. On my professional profile on LinkedIn, what I want to do is to demonstrate my expertise. Not necessarily go, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? Do you want to buy something else? But demonstrate.
It's the Kia Season of New Traditions sales event. So don't just hang your own lights. Venture out and look for the northern lights. Drink cocoa on the beach. Or be a drive-by karaoke caroler. Because every Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, so you can take holidays to places they've never been. See your local Kia dealer or visit kia.com to learn more. Kia, movement that inspires.
See Kia dealer for warranty details. Event ends 1/2/25.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be. My
expertise. That's why I'm doing this webinar, would you believe? I'm trying to demonstrate my expertise, trying to, convey to people that I know what I'm talking about. And I do, because I've been doing it 29 years now. And I've learned from the best in the world. I really decided back in my table tennis days, how am I going to get good at table tennis? Well, I got two ways. I can stay in Sheffield, where I lived, and practice with all the players there. And there were some good players in Sheffield, don't get me wrong. Or I could go to Manchester, which was about an hour to an hour and a half journey every day, and go and practice with some of the best players in England. And that's what I chose to do. And in my marketing or business career, I chose, who's the best in the world at marketing, and I'm going to go and learn from them. And I always remember I went along to a seminar by a guy called Jay Abraham, because I Googled who's the world's leading marketer, and it came up with Jay's name. He's somebody I've learned a lot from over the years, full of respect for him. And I paid, I think it was something like $3,800 just to be at this seminar. And then I got my flight and accommodation and so on and so forth. So it probably cost me, £5,000, something like that. And this is back a long time ago. This is probably, maybe 28, 29 years ago now. So that was, whatever that was, it was probably 10, 12 grand in today's money. And but it was brilliant. And what was also brilliant was Jay's marketing, because he had over 1,000 people in the room 1,000 times $3,800. You work that out. You don't need to be an accountant to know that's a lot of money. A lot of money. That's, I think, £3.8 million for 4 days' work. You know, not enough to live on, but it's not a bad start, is it? But anyway, so you know, testing is really, really important. Test one element at a time in order to try and improve the performance of each and every element of your marketing. I'll give you one more example before I share my screen with you. You take something that a lot of people say is the best form of marketing on the planet, and that is referral marketing. Referral marketing, you know, word of mouth. That's where all the businesses won. Well, it's true in a way, but often because people are not trying other things, they're just relying on word of mouth. And if you rely on word of mouth, it will win you an amount of business, assuming you're good at what you do. But it might also lose your business from Google, from email, from LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and so on and so forth, because you're just relying on one stream of income. That was one of the things that J. Abraham taught me. He taught me this concept of multiple streams of income. He used an example of the Parthenon. You know, the Greek Parthenon, which is the building with the pylons holding it up. He said that's your marketing. You need to have multiple pillars holding up your business, multiple streams of income. I don't think there's hardly anybody in the world, any successful business, that doesn't have multiple ways of going to market. Maybe the odd, you know, multi-level networking association, but pretty much everybody in business needs multiple ways of going to market. So that said, let me share my screen with you, and I want to take you through a process that I think will be really, really valuable to you. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just getting used to this technology here. This is fairly new to me. Hang on. No, I don't want that, do I? I want to share my screen. Where is it? Oh, it's there. Wrong button, Steve. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. There we go. Okay. So, again, just let's view in the view slideshow. Hopefully that's going to open up. Yay! Technology, hey, isn't it wonderful? Okay, so this is a process that I've developed literally going back many, many years. It's called the Results Mastery 6-Step Process for Business Growth. Excuse me. If you think about business growth, you know, again, taking a step back from that, what is the purpose of a business? It's to make a profit. You know, you say, well, it's to do good and to, you know, improve lives of other people and to improve the life of myself and my family and so on and so forth. But to do that, you've got to make a profit. Even if your business is a charity, what's that about? It's about making a profit so you can use those profits to help people in, difficult situations, shall we say, or to help cure some disease or something like that. So if that's the case, then the question is, how do you make more profit? And there's only two ways of doing that. One, you can reduce costs. Two, you can increase sales. That's it. That's the whole ball of wax. Now, I'm sure there are many ways that you could reduce costs. You know, you could save a bit here and a bit there and 5% here and 10% there and so on and so forth. You know, I could walk over to my light switch and turn the lights off. I could turn the heating down a couple of degrees and so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is it's got to be limited, hasn't it? You know, even if I save 20%, it's still limited. Now, I'm not saying you don't do that. I'm saying you do that. But for real leverage, if you really want to, significantly increase your business, your profit, and your turnover, then you've got to increase sales. Now, if you ever read a book called The E-Myth by a guy called Michael Gerber, Gerber talks about the three keys or the three sections of business growth. And Gerber says that one of the problems and the reasons why 90% of businesses that start go bust within the first 5 years, which is an alarming statistic. That's terrible. But allegedly that is true. 90% of businesses, it used to be 80 and now it's 90% of businesses go bust within the first 5 years. And the reason is, according to Gerber, that they all suffer from what he calls operational expertise. Operational expertise means that they're experts operationally. So I might be an expert at dentistry, or I might be an expert surgeon, or an expert, hairdresser, or an expert at coaching, or a HR expert. Whatever it is I'm an expert at, what I'm often not an expert at is the financial side of the business and the sales and marketing side of the business. So I've got a high level of expertise in doing the work that the business does, and I've often got a low expertise in terms of sales and marketing. You know, you take a dentist, for example, they've spent probably 6-7 years. I think for a vet, it's 7 years training. I was talking to my dog's vet the other day, and they were saying they have to go through 7 years of training. And then they start, they set off, they probably go and work for another dentist, and then decide to go it alone and set up their own practice, believing because they're good at doing the dentistry work that automatically means they're going to be successful. Well, they're not, because they're no good at managing the financial side of the business, and they're no good at selling their products and services, i.e. dentistry. So what happens is they finish up either going bust or perhaps, surviving, shall we say, and nobody wants to be in that world. So, that's really important. And Gerber, if you read the book, and I strongly recommend you do, you can buy it on Amazon. I'm not selling it, but buy it on Amazon and you'll understand what I'm talking about here. Okay, so let's go through these steps, shall we? So we start on the bottom step, which is the step that we tend to always start on when we're going up steps, and we talk about obscurity. What do I mean by that? I mean that the biggest problem that you've got, that I've got, that every small business has got, unless you're Apple or Nike or one of those companies, we're all suffering from obscurity. We're not known. We're not known by enough people. How big is your market? Well, my market is pretty much worldwide, but if I just took the UK, I've got hundreds of thousands of businesses, probably in truth, maybe over 1 million businesses that could be on one of my programs. They could be on my Results Booster program, which is my £10 a month online program. They could be on my Results Mastery program, which is my group-based mentoring program. But the truth is they aren't. Why aren't they? Because only a limited amount of people know me. They've even heard of me. And I've got to say, in all the years I've been doing this, that's quite a number now. It's probably about 150, maybe 200,000 people. A lot more than most businesses, not as many as some. How many people know of Apple? It's probably about 2/3 of the world. So we have to look at things in context. Here lies one of the problems. Let me just say this. Once you've overcome obscurity and people have watched your video, they've seen your post on LinkedIn, they've opened an email, what people tend to do is they want to leap straight to number 5. Straight to number 5. They want a meeting. I was talking to a client of mine this morning who said, I'm thinking of advertising on LinkedIn. I said, oh, right, what are you going to advertise? Well, I'm going to set up an advert offering a free meeting to a particular target market. It was actually the care industry. And I said, so you're advertising to people who don't know you and you're asking for a meeting straight away. You're missing out the 3 steps that you need to do, because we need to think about what we're doing to overcome obscurity. And it could be things like, these are the different streams of income, the pillars, if you will. We could be doing webinars like this. I've got people listening today, perhaps who've never heard of Steve Mills, and they're forming an opinion. They think he's clearly a madman, or hopefully they think, this guy does know his stuff. We've got email. That's a great way of overcoming obscurity. We've got social media. Fantastic way of getting a message out to thousands of people who don't know you, pretty much for free or for paid advertising. We've got networking. We can go to networking events. We can go and speak at an event. That's one way I certainly win lots of business. Excuse me again. We can advertise. Again, a great way. We've got, either online, offline, search engine advertising. We've got social media advertising, and we've also got websites and landing pages. The list goes on and on. What we've got to do then, once we've maybe made contact, they're in our peripheral vision, we've got to maintain consistent communication. And this is where people fall down, in my opinion. They're not consistent. When I say not consistent, I go back to, I post on LinkedIn once a fortnight, or twice a week even. We need to be on there. If you listen to people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Frank Kern, Jay Abraham, and so on and so forth. Some of these people that I, have learnt from, they'll tell you need to be posting 5, 10, 15 times a day, not a month, a day on social media. Now that might be a lot, and it might be worth thinking about doing 3, 4, 5 times a day, because what you've got to remember is most of the people most of the time are missing your content. They're missing out on it. I've got like 13,000 contacts on LinkedIn, and when I post on there, I get 300, 400, 500, occasionally 1,000 people view my post. So what's happening to the other, 12,500 people? Well, they're busy. They're not on LinkedIn. And we all know those posts just gradually disappear down that black hole as new people post on top of the old people. So, that's a really important thing. Other people will say, well, yeah, I do email marketing. Oh, really? I'll say, what do you do? Well, we do a quarterly newsletter. Give me a break. That's like me saying to somebody, I go out on, I'm married now, so I don't do this, but I go out on a date, and at the end of the date, I say, I really enjoyed the date. I'd love to see you again. Would you be in? Would you like to meet me again? Go out on another date? And the lady says, yeah, sure, I'd love to, Steve. I said, right, great. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you an email in 3 months. How about that? That relationship's not going to last. Now, I know that's a different type of relationship, but the truth is we're treating our customers and our prospects like that. We need to keep going. We need to keep on keeping on. And it's one of the things that's missing from most marketing. It really is. So, get on there. Don't be afraid to bombard people. And I'm not suggesting you do have a policy of bombarding, but the truth is, I send an email out to, thousands of people, and I'm doing well because I get about a 40% open rate, which I think the average worldwide is about 15%. So only 15% of them are going to read it anyway. So don't be worried about bombarding people. Keep in touch. If you want to win, you've got to keep in touch with people on a very regular basis. Depends on your industry, how regular, but for most industries, I would say you need to be in touch at least on a weekly basis, at least. So, next one, getting people to know, like, and trust you. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. They buy from companies they know, like, and trust. And they buy products and services that they know, like, and trust. So the question is, how are you going to get people to know, like, and trust you? Well, the best way is to meet them. Not always possible, but it's a good way of doing that. Another way would be to phone them, so you can start a two-way conversation, sort of stepping up to number 4 there. Another way would be to send them a video. That could be like a pre-recorded, generic video. It could be a video that you do for them. If I had somebody on today's webinar called Ian, and afterwards I sent him a message going, "Oh, hi Ian, just to say thanks for coming along to my webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. I was just wondering, to try and get a bit of feedback, what were the perhaps 2 or 3 things that you thought stood out that perhaps would help you the most?" Wondered what they were, Ian. And Ian comes back to me then in a two-way conversation, and hopefully starts to know, like, and trust me enough to be communicating back with me. So that number 3 and number 4 are very interlinked. Now, there's other ways of getting people to know, like, and trust you. One would be referral. If you can get a referral, it's coming from somebody else, not from me. So there's an element of, the referrals tend to convert higher because they're coming from an outsourced recommendation, and therefore it's more believable. You could do things like having written testimonials. I've got a document called "Don't Take My Word for It," and in it is I think there's something like about 150 testimonials from people who are genuine, all genuine, who've said nice things about me and how I've helped them. So that's really powerful as well. Another way could be a case study or several case studies, so that you can again see that person is trustable. Another way would be, as I've already mentioned, speaking at events. It's great for positioning. Because you're there, you're at that event, there's 1,000 people or maybe even just 10 people in the room, but you're selected to stand up in front of them by somebody else, and you're positioned as an expert in what you do. So if I ran Steve Mills's landscape gardening company and I was invited to speak at the Isle of Wight Horticultural Society event, that would be really good for positioning me as an expert in what I do. Are you getting this? Another great way of getting people to know, like, and trust you is to write a book. Do you want to employ the guy who's written a book on it, or one that hasn't? If it was Steve Mill, if I came to you and I said, "Look, I can do your landscape gardening," and I gave you a quote, and I said, "Oh, and by the way, as a thank you for considering me, I'd like to give you a copy of my book called The Steve Mills Guide to Landscape Gardening. I thought you'd find it of interest." All right, and I give you my book. Somebody else comes along and they don't have a book. They just give you a quote. All things being roughly equal, who would you buy from? Probably from me. In fact, you might even pay a little bit more money from somebody who's an expert because they've written a book on it than somebody who hasn't. I've written 4 books on marketing, and they've really stood me in good stead for many, many years. Okay, so next one, communication, which sort of links into what I've just been saying. Two-way communication. How can you create two-way communication? Well, one of the best ways is to ask questions. If you think about what you do when you go to meet someone, whether that's meeting them on a personal basis or on a I don't know, a networking event, something like that. You go up to people, you go, oh, hi, I'm Steve, and you are? So I'm asking them a question. Who are they? Oh, I'm Ian. Hi, Ian. Great to meet you. So what do you do, Ian? Oh, I do this. All right. How's that work? What do you do about that? How's this? So I'm asking Ian questions in order for what? To get Ian talking and coming back to me. But most people miss that out in their marketing. They send out an email, and that email goes, hi, here's some great products that might be of. I got a message from somebody this morning, and in it they were on LinkedIn, and they'd asked me to connect. And the message went something like, I was having a look at your website today, and I was really impressed, and I'd like to connect to you on LinkedIn. So I looked at their profile, and I thought, okay, let's connect to them. So I connected to them. Guess what happened? 10 seconds later, they sent me an automated response that was about, I'm going to say it was 10 paragraphs long. So they'd clearly not written that in 10 seconds. That's how I knew it was automated. And it basically went on to tell me about their business, how great they were, what they could do for me, why I should buy from them, and so on and so forth. Now, they didn't know who I was. There was no relationship. They wanted me, surprise, to book a meeting. You know, I'm booking a meeting with, I had all I'd done is had a look at their LinkedIn profile, but I'd looked at it from a point of view of, perhaps they could be my client there. And, there was no thought from my point at this stage that anything else would happen. But they basically tried to sell to me and turn me off straight away. So two-way communication. They could have asked me questions. You know, imagine they were, selling cars, right? Selling cars. They were the Volkswagen local main dealer. And they came to me and they said, oh, thanks very much for connecting, Steve. It's great to do so. Tell me a little bit more about what you do, Steve. So I went back with, I do that. Okay, so what car do you drive, Steve? Oh, I drive a XYZ car. All right. Have you ever, no, let me refresh that. How long have you had the car? Oh, I've had it, 3 years now. All right. How often do you change your car, Steve? We're gearing into, selling me a new car, but they're not just going, here's a deal for a new, why don't you lease a car, Steve? Perhaps they could ask me about, have I considered leasing, or, have you bought your car? What are you doing? But, they didn't. They just went straight for the jugular. And it's easy to make that mistake, I think, in marketing, whether that's on your website, your email, your social, and so on and so forth. So we've now got we've got a load of people that we're now connected to. We're constantly growing the number of people we're connected to. We're communicating with them on a consistent basis through advertising, through email, through social media, and so on and so forth. We're perhaps making them offers of free things. Come on my free webinar, download my free report that I've written on XYZ. Watch my YouTube video. In it, I talk about ABC. So we're getting people to know, like, and trust us, our company and our products. We've managed to introduce two-way communication where they're coming back to me and talking to me. We've then got to, we're now at a level where we can perhaps turn that into a meeting. Everybody and anybody on this webinar today, I'm also inviting you to a meeting. Why wouldn't I? So you are welcome to go to my website, which is results-marketing. Sorry, I've said that wrong. That's a stupid thing to say, but I've got it wrong. It's results-mastery. not marketing, results-mastery.com, and you can book there's a link on there, big gold button. You can book a meeting with me. It's a free meeting. It lasts for 30 minutes. I talk about your business, your marketing, what's working, what's not working, maybe give you some ideas regarding how to make the stuff that's not working to work, how to make the stuff that is working to work even better. And at the end of it, do you know what? You're going to say you either want some more help or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. I'm very cool with that. At least I've helped you. You might refer me, you might recommend me, and you might buy from me at some point in the future. Who knows? But my point being is I've had an opportunity now to talk to you and you to me. And it could end up that, I buy something from you. Who knows? You never know. It's just important to talk. I really do believe in this, and that is the more people you speak to, the more money will end up in your pocket. I really do believe that. And, in these days, with communication and everybody working from home and, and email this and WhatsApp that and so on and so forth, don't neglect this thing called a phone. On my phone, I've got a big, the screensaver. My screensaver says, pick me up and I'll make you money. So I'm looking down at that every single day, and it is so true. Once we then get into that meeting, we've got to do something better than most people. And by that what I mean is, most people don't really have any structure. They don't have an agenda. They don't think about their clients. They're in sales mode. They're not in helping mode, and people can see it. How many times have you been in a meeting where somebody started the meeting and gone, "Hi, my name's Steve Mills. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to helping you during this meeting." Now, in order to make sure that you get the best possible outcome from the meeting, I've produced an agenda. Here's a copy of it. Is there anything you'd like to add to that agenda? And people go, "Oh, no, that's brilliant, Steve, that's fantastic." And that helps keep it on track. Again, if you've ever listened to Jordan Belfont, he talks about the straight line system. You got to keep people on that straight line, because we all go veering off into obscurity talking about the football or the whatever it is that's of interest. I'm not saying you don't do that to maybe arguably build a little bit of rapport, but we need to be on that straight line. So think about it this way. If your conversion rate is 40%, so in other words, if you get 10 meetings and typically you would sell to 4 of them, if you could improve that by just 20% to 6 out of 10 from 4 out of 10, which is a 20% improvement, what does that grow your business? Well, you may think, well, it's 20%, but the truth of the matter, it's not. I know it's a weird thing to say, but what it is 50% growth. 6 out of 10 from 4 out of 10 is 50% more. So you could, just by becoming better at meetings, better at selling, better at presenting your products, better at asking questions, better at overcoming objections, better at closing the sale, if you could become better, 10-15% better at all those things, then you could potentially improve your conversion rate from 4 out of 10 to 6 out of 10, a 20% improvement, which would grow your business by 50% over time. Do you get that? I really hope you do. So that's the main thing of what I've got to tell you, to be honest, today. So let me just come back. Let me just get my screen back here. Hopefully I'm not sure I've appeared again, have I? Oh, I'm back. Yay. Okay, I think I'm back anyway. So, that's about it. A genuine offer of a meeting. If you want to meet up with me, that would be great. If you don't, it's not a problem. But, for those people who would like a meeting, I'm very open to do it. We can do it over Zoom. I'm based on the Isle of Wight, so it's not always the easiest location to get to. If you want to meet up, great. If you want to come for a week on the Isle of Wight or a day on the Isle of Wight, whatever, we can meet up. But normally I do Zoom meetings. I've got clients all over the world. I've got clients in Argentina and Switzerland and Poland and Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Singapore, you name it. So, I don't meet those guys that often, but we do meet on Zoom. So, as I say, go to my website, results-mastery, not marketing, results-mastery.com, and get yourself signed up. I would just say one program that I'm really pushing at the moment, to be honest. It's called my Results Booster program. It's new. It's for startups and one-person businesses. So if you know anybody who's in business, they're just starting out, they've not really got a budget. I charge £10 a month to be a member, and I know that's ridiculous, but it's all about helping people get a start when they've not got the money, they've not got the budget to be able to go and sign up to my Results Mastermind group, which is more established businesses. But that's it. So thanks ever so much for being here. I look forward to speaking to you on my next podcast, on my next live stream on YouTube, on my next Facebook live stream, and on my next webinar. Thanks very much for listening.